Janelle. This whole thing happened with Christine, and I don't want to be in that place with Janelle.
You and I sit here in this moment with this truth we now hold in our hands, raw and undeniable. Because for all the stories spun by Kody Brown, the patriarch under pressure, the misunderstood father, the man just trying to hold a crumbling family, together, what's finally unraveling isn't just a marriage or a family dynamic. It's a carefully crafted narrative years in the making, and this time, that pressure might not just break him, it might expose him completely. Sources from deep within the courthouse walls now whisper of a scene so volatile, so charged that even seasoned clerks pause to take note. Kody, red-faced and trembling, reportedly stormed out of the courtroom after a staggering child support ruling that not only blindsided him, but left him muttering threats of financial ruin, of being broken by a system that, in his words, was punishing him for children who've been turned against him. The clerk who caught up to him in the parking lot later claimed he doubled down, voice sharp and indignant, declaring that he would not be strong-armed into paying for relationships he believes have been sabotaged. But this wasn't about sabotage, not for Christine. Because while Kody fumed in the lot, Christine, still inside the courtroom with her attorney, reportedly stood composed, quietly collecting the paperwork that confirmed what many of us had suspected for a long time, that justice, even if delayed, was still possible. And according to those present, Christine didn't gloat. She didn't even smile. Because this wasn't a moment of triumph. It was a reckoning. The child support judgment wasn't just high, it was retroactive, reaching back over a year and tallying up every missed copay, every overlooked tuition bill, every unpaid reimbursement for braces, field trips, and doctor visits. Christine had come prepared, not just emotionally, but with hard evidence. Bank statements, school invoices, Venmo, screenshots, even canceled checks. Each one telling a story of a mother who had shouldered it all while her ex played favorites, and redefined responsibility as something optional. And that's where things began to spiral, because Kody wasn't expecting to be held accountable. He wasn't ready for a courtroom that didn't bend to charisma or excuses. Certainly not for Christine's attorney, who, by many accounts, was relentless yet surgical in presenting the case. Legal analysts who've reviewed the now public filings have described it as airtight. But what shook Kody wasn't the verdict, was the evidence he didn't know they had. Because buried in that courtroom exchange, in a moment so quiet it was almost missed, Christine's team slid a single document across the table. A transaction highlighted, time-stamped, and undeniably real. A $15,000 transfer from a dormant joint account made within 72 hours of the hearing. The memo line read simply, "Family needs." But what needs? And whose family? The account in question hadn't seen activity in over a year. And Christine's attorney didn't need to accuse Kody of fraud. They let the timing do the talking. Because when the judge looked directly at Kody and asked, "Is there anything you'd like to clarify?" And Kody said nothing, just sat there, jaw tight, eyes fixed on the table. That silence said everything. It was a silence thick with implication, with guilt, with fear. And those in the room knew this wasn't just a financial oversight. It was a maneuver, a shift, a move made in anticipation of a ruling he feared, one meant to keep assets just out of legal reach. But what Kody hadn't counted on was the possibility that his own actions might open the door to something bigger, a deeper financial audit, one that could peel back the layers of his household spending, income streams, and the network of LLCs and PayPal transfers that have long been a murky aspect of Brown family business. And suddenly, what began as a child support hearing teetered on the edge of something far more explosive. Because the question became, where did the $15,000 go? And if Christine's sources are to be believed, the trail doesn't end in ambiguity, leads straight to Robyn's front door. Yes, Robyn Brown, Kody's legally wedded wife. The one he famously declared was not his favorite, but merely the most obedient. According to multiple online sleuths and even insiders close to the family, the very week of the transaction, a luxury delivery was photographed outside Robyn's home, a new set of custom outdoor furniture, reportedly from a boutique vendor. In Flagstaff, whose social media post showcasing the exact collection was mysteriously deleted days later, fans were quick to screenshot the post, comparing invoice dates and shipping confirmations, matching delivery timelines to the account's withdrawal history, and the match. Near perfect. One Reddit user even pointed out that the design firm responsible has only one known client in that gated hillside community, Robyn Brown. Coincidence? Maybe, but it's the kind of coincidence that keeps showing up in patterns. And in court, patterns matter more than intent. Christine, for her part, allegedly spent months quietly gathering these dots, documenting each bounced tuition check, every copay she paid out of pocket, every time Kody failed to reimburse her for basic parenting expenses, while, by contrast, Robyn's household appeared to flourish with upgrades, renovations, and online hauls. Multiple sources allege that Robyn's home has been undergoing a silent facelift for nearly 6 months. New lighting fixtures, upgraded bedroom suites, outdoor landscaping, and even a spa booking in Sedona for her birthday weekend, during which Kody reportedly didn't contact a single child outside of Robyn's household. That silence, too, is telling. And perhaps most damning of all, Christine's legal team uncovered what fans are now dubbing the PayPal Trail, a sequence of small deposits from a family business account to an online boutique registered under Robyn's name. The amounts, usually under $2,000, wouldn't raise eyebrows individually. But when strung together over 5 months, they suggest a deliberate attempt to funnel funds in a way that avoids scrutiny. It's not about the size of the transfers, it's about the frequency, the intention, the secrecy. A former family friend hinted that Kody had become adept at moving money in chunks, each small enough to fly under radar, but cumulatively substantial. And now, Christine's team has allegedly flagged several of those chunks for further review, each one tied to a date that coincides with either a missed payment or a luxury purchase inside Robyn's home. One insider put it bluntly: Christine didn't set out to destroy Kody, she set out to protect her kids, and the receipts did the rest. The legal community is now watching closely, with family law experts noting that if Kody continues with his threatened appeal, Kay may be forced to disclose full financial records, not just his own, but potentially Robyn's as well, especially if joint accounts or interlinked LLCs are involved. And if that happens, the entire financial infrastructure of the Brown household could be exposed. This is no longer just about who pays for braces or books. It's about equity, fairness, and whether Kody Brown used the cover of one relationship to financially neglect the children from another. Robyn, who reportedly refused to attend the hearing, has gone silent in group chats ever since. Not just quiet absent. Insiders claim she's leaning harder than ever into her identity as Kody's only true partner, digging in while the rest of the family watches the fallout from afar. But while Robyn might be mute, her spending speaks volumes. Delivery trucks, arriving late into the evening, luxury upgrades documented and posted, then deleted. Receipts quietly matched by Christine's accountant friend turned legal liaison. Because Christine didn't just build a case, she built a timeline. And that timeline now paints a damning picture of a man who claimed bankruptcy while outfitting a hillside mansion, of a mother forced to choose between silence and justice, of a family fractured not by divorce, but by imbalance. And now that the court documents are public, the backlash has reached a fever pitch. Hashtags like hashtag "Where is the money?" and hashtag "Brown family receipts" are trending, with side-by-side comparisons of Robyn's luxury home and the modest, sometimes bare setups in the other households. One TikTok creator even stitched Robyn's past statements about fairness with sarcastic audio that echoed, "Sure, Jan," as images of new chandeliers and decked-out patios scrolled past. It's become a cultural flashpoint, not just for Sister Wives fans, but for anyone who's ever watched a family dynamic tilt so far in one direction, it collapses. Kody Brown's House of Cards isn't just falling knits being dissected piece by piece, memo line by memo line. And if the court continues digging, what they find may not just reshape custody, could redefine the entire Brown family legacy. Because vindication, as Christine said behind closed doors, isn't about revenge. It's about principle. It's about what children deserve and what co-parents are obligated to uphold. And while Kody continues pacing his home, ranting about political bias and media spin, Christine has already moved on, not in bitterness, but in clarity. Her hands may be tired, but they are clean. And her voice, long dismissed, is now amplified. By truth, by proof, by every bounced check and silent weekend. The court didn't just hear her, it listened. And in doing so, it may have finally turned the tide on a story that was never about polygamy, was about power, about who holds it, who wields it, and who's willing to fight for those left outside the walls of privilege while others decorate theirs with luxury, paid for in silence,
I've always wanted him to be around his kids, so why would I say I don't want you to be around Truly? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. He just doesn't trust me. That's what this comes down to.
Because the question, at its core, isn't just whether Kody Brown paid or didn't pay, whether he signed the checks or dodged them, whether he fulfilled his legal obligations or merely performed. Fatherhood in front of cameras, it's whether the very funds meant for his children, for their growth, education, wellness, and future, were deliberately or thoughtlessly redirected toward boutique headboards, artisan foyer mirrors, custom-made luxury furniture, and yes, even that now infamous doll room that fans have dissected. Frame by frame, pausing old Sister Wives episodes to match throw pillows and decor with vendor posts, receipts, and now courtroom evidence. And in a twist that even the show's most jaded viewers didn't see coming, it's not just the ex-wives speaking anymore. It's the children. It's the kids who grew up in those split homes. The ones raised on phrases like, the family is the focus, while watching Robyn's wing of the family flourish and theirs quietly struggle. The older ones grown now, aware, and no longer willing to play silent witnesses, are speaking out. Privately at first, then more boldly, more publicly, more painfully. Because it turns out you can only suppress resentment for so long before it finds a way to surface. Multiple insiders, including a former production assistant and one long-trusted friend of the Brown children, allege that the court ruling didn't just shake Kody, it cracked something wide open. In its wake, the children began voicing what they'd seen behind the carefully curated scenes. What they'd quietly endured while Robyn's children were outfitted with top-tier homeschool software, state-of-the-art MacBooks, ergonomic desks, and shiny new iPads, all while the rest of the family, including some biological children of Kody, struggled to afford books, housing, even gas money to get to classes. One young adult, whose name we're withholding for privacy, allegedly confided to a friend that he was forced to drop out of school for a semester. Not because of grades or discipline, but because no one in the family would co-sign his student loan. I begged for help, he reportedly told a friend, but there was always an excuse. Meanwhile, Robyn's kids had a full classroom built inside their house, like we didn't even exist. It wasn't jealousy, he said. It was erasure. And you don't just walk that off, it festers. It fuels a quiet rage that builds over years until a tipping point, like a court ruling, arrives and the truth spills out. And Christine's legal team, according to multiple legal sources, they've been preparing for this. Allegedly, her attorneys have been collecting more than financial documents. They've been compiling statements, text messages, emotional anecdotes from adult children, screenshots, receipts, evidence that paints not just a fiscal imbalance, but an emotional one too. A pattern of selective parenting, of priorities misaligned with responsibility. One daughter, according to someone very close to the case, presented proof that Kody missed her birthday not once, not twice, but 3 years in a Rano card. No call, No mention while Robyn's youngest reportedly received 2 lavish gifts in a single month, including a limited edition gaming console. Another child, now a teenager, allegedly posted in a private Facebook group that they had to forego senior portraits because their mom couldn't afford the photo package only to see. That same weekend, a social media post from Robyn about redecorating the foyer with a brand new chandelier and designer wallpaper. The post disappeared within hours, but not before it was screenshot, archived, shared, and dissected by fans and friends alike. Because these aren't just missed moments. They're symbolic. They're the physical manifestation of who mattered and who didn't. And while Christine continues to keep a tight lip in public, those closest to her say she's no longer protecting Kody's image. She used to tell the kids, "Don't badmouth your dad," one family friend shared. "Okay, now," she tells them, "speak your truth." And they are. And that truth is messy, complicated, emotionally loaded, and it is finally being heard. Kody's alleged reaction? Volatile, defensive, furious. Sources claim that during a recent family Zoom call, one of his sons finally snapped and asked the question that's haunted the background of this story for years. Why is there always money for Robyn stuff, but never for our college apps? The question landed like a bomb. Kody, they say, didn't respond. He simply logged off. Click. Gone. No answer. That moment relayed through siblings, family, friends, and digital text threads has since become emblematic of the entire saga. The silence, the favoritism, the refusal to acknowledge harm unless legally forced. Because it's one thing to be accused by an ex-wife, it's another to be called out by your children. And while Kody's defenders, few as they now are, tried to spin the narrative that he's overwhelmed, that he's misunderstood, that polygamy is complicated, it became increasingly difficult to ignore the glaring contradictions, especially when just 24 hours after his courtroom claimed that his income was unstable and insufficient to meet the new child support terms. He was allegedly spotted at a high-end auto dealership outside Flagstaff, test driving a brand new luxury SUV, specifically a metallic blue Mercedes, Robyn's favorite shade. It wasn't a rumor. Multiple fans reported it across separate forums. One woman in a private Sister Wives Facebook group even posted a photo, grainy but damning, showing Kody behind the wheel, smiling, dealership tags visible. When asked casually if he was trading something in, the witness claimed he laughed and said, "Nope, this one's just for me." That image, a man claiming poverty in court and then gleefully test driving a 6-figure vehicle, spread like wildfire. TikTok accounts posted satire breakdowns of his expenses, including line items like hair gel, $800, Mercedes test drives, priceless child support, $0. The comments were ruthless, cutting, and brutally accurate in the eyes of Taze. And we all know I've been exploring that is. Fans who had long sensed a financial imbalance behind Kody's polished reality TV facade. And it got worse, 'cause whispers soon followed that Kody may not have purchased the vehicle alone. Some insiders speculated that Robyn may have co-signed the loan or redirected family funds to help secure the deal. True, and no hard proof exists, yet this would shatter Kody's courtroom defense, in which he insisted that he and Robyn keep finances completely separate. That her money is hers, his money is his, and the rest of the family's needs are irrelevant to their shared assets. But a vehicle, especially one bought or co-signed within weeks of a child support ruling, says otherwise. And the court of public opinion, it's done being patient. The sentiment now isn't just critical, it's furious. Fans have launched hashtags like #BrownFamilyReceipts and #Where's the Money?, stitching together social posts, court documents, real estate filings, and even screen captures from old Sister Wives episodes, showing how opulent Robyn's home has become over time. But just when it seemed like Kody's fall from grace couldn't deepen further, someone unexpected quietly entered the frame. Meri, silent for months. Subtle with her cryptic quotes and ambiguous social posts, often forgotten in the public discourse, but always watching. And according to a source deep inside her circle, Meri has been keeping track of the finances too. Not because she planned to wage war, but because she assumed at some point fairness would prevail. That the promises Kody made when the family dissolved their joint assets would materialize. That what she was owed would arrive eventually. But it didn't. And when she recently applied for a small business grant to expand her bed and breakfast, her count and tan old friend asked a simple question that unraveled everything. What was your final payout when the family split the LLC? Meri pulled her files, did the math, her expected share? Over $150,000. What actually landed in her business account? Just under $75,000. The rest? Gone. No explanation, no memo line. It's just a wire-labeled family fund, which no one including Meri remembers authorizing. And that, insiders say, was Meri's breaking point. It wasn't the spa bookings or the new chandeliers. It wasn't even the alleged doll room. It was the betrayal embedded in the numbers. The quiet theft hidden in plain sight. Meri has since allegedly gone into full documentation mode, pulling email threads with Kody. Screenshots of old bank statements, texts where he promised to recalculate things once the dust settled. But the dust never settled, and the money never arrived. And now, watching Christine battle in court for basic tuition help while Robyn allegedly remodels her bedroom suite for the third time in 2 years. Meri is done being silent. She hasn't gone public yet, but those close to her say she's preparing, gathering, calculating, because this wasn't just a family drama. It was a business, a brand, a network of intertwined obligations, LLCs, trust accounts, and shared responsibilities. And now, as more of those pieces come into focus, the story of Sister Wives is no longer about the collapse of polygamy. It's about the fallout of financial betrayal, about the children who lived through it, the wives who suffered in silence, and the man who once stood at the center of it, all now left exposed, not just by his exes, but by the paper trail they followed, straight through the cracks of his crumbling empire.
When we die, we're reunited with everybody who we have lost, who's gone before. So I fully expect that when it's my turn, she'll be there waiting for me.
Because the stakes now stretch far beyond whether Kody Brown writes a check or skips one. It's about intent, priorities, and whether the very funds meant for his children, funds promised, owed, and legally demanded, were quietly funneled away, redirected into boutique headboards, high-end foyer mirrors, that notorious doll room, and lavish upgrades in Robyn's household. Meanwhile, Christine's kids were left piecing together their lives with what's left. And now, with Kody spinning tales of financial ruin, Christine fighting to prove where every dollar went, and Meri quietly preparing to expose a $75,000 shortfall. This case is entering a whole new level of reckoning. Because if it's revealed that Kody siphoned off part of Meri's rightful payout to float upgrades in Robyn's home, or used joint funds to cover his own bills while refusing to support Christine's children, then his carefully constructed claim of equal obligation to all four families collapses. It wasn't just Christine who sensed something was off. Janelle did too. They noticed Meri seemed quieter lately, withdrawn. They suspected she wasn't getting her fair share. But Meri, fiercely private, kept her lips shut until she couldn't anymore. Now, sources say Christine, Janelle, and Meri have begun working in quiet collaboration, cross-referencing bank statements, reconciling timelines, and mapping every penny taken, given, or redirected. The emotional irony. Meri never wanted any fight. She'd retreated quietly after the family's public implosion, determined not to relive old wounds. But watching Christine walk into court alone, only to have Kody claim that child support would destroy him financially, reached her limit. As she allegedly told a friend, he destroyed us first and now he wants sympathy. Let him. Explain where the missing 75 grand went, she insisted, before anyone feels sorry. Which brings us to Coyote Pass, the 40-acre slice of promised land that symbolized unity, dreams, and an enduring family legacy. Once Kody pitched it as the parcel that would hold all 4 households together. But instead, it's become a financial anchor dragging him under, because late-night digging by fans surfaced a 6-figure balloon payment lurking in the land records. $125,000 due this quarter, no negotiable extensions. A clerk quietly flagged the file. No sign of a refinancing plan. No private payoff in motion. This bombshell forces Kody's financial landscape into the light. If he hoped to ride out appellate delays while letting his liquid assets evaporate into luxury or Robyn's accounts, that possibility has ended. The clock is ticking. If he can't meet the balloon payment, Coyote Pass could be seized, liquidated to satisfy defaults. And this isn't speculative. Christine's legal team is already eyeing it as a possible enforcement mechanism. Judges routinely allow property seizure when liquid assets unexpected vanish or aren't transparent. And if Meri joins Christine in the courtroom, pointing to missing tens of thousands meant for her anchored by Janelle's longtime emotional stake in the land the structure Kody built could collapse in a matter of weeks. Janelle, once emotionally scorched by the land's fallout, is now reconsidering. Close sources say she's preparing to offer Kody a deal. She'll relinquish any retroactive child support claims in exchange for giveaway rights to the parcel. She once called home. She's tired of waiting. She doesn't want to fight, but if Kody refuses, she won't hesitate to take action. And if she does, the ground beneath him falls completely away. Kody accepts. It admits he can't pay what the court ordered. Court ordered. If he refuses, the consequences could be foreclosure, garnishment, and irreversible loss. That reality all came crashing into court yesterday morning, just as the sun rose over Flagstaff. Late the night before, Christine's attorney quietly filed an emergency motion for a hearing at daybreak. The filing cited urgent fears of asset liquidation, fund shuffling, and non-compliance, pointing to the Mercedes test drive, the dormant account reactivation, luxury household posts, and now Meri's missing payout. The hearing kicked off just hours after notice went out. Kody's team had under 12 hours to respond and were blindsided. Inside the courtroom, which was closed to the public, but alive with tension, Kody appeared hollow-eyed, supported only by his lead counsel. Robyn, absent. Janelle, watching but silent. Meri, on the stand via video affidavit, backed by sworn documents from her accountant friend detailing the missing half of her payout. Christine, calm, quiet, steady. She didn't need to raise her voice. Her attorneys demanded an immediate freeze on Kody's account, temporary until forensic accounting could parse every transfer post-divorce. They argued Kody deliberately shifted assets into his wife's hands and non-liquid forms, fearing back support demands. One legal analyst told us, courts do this when they see pattern of behavior, deliberate opacity, shifting funds to protect against judgments. And the evidence: the Mercedes, the dusty bank account reactivated, the luxury bills that mirrored Robyn's online purchases, Meri's missing $75,000. And yes, the $125,000 balloon payment due under Coyote Pass's contract. All tied together, all revealing a man weaving a financial safety net at the expense of those legally dependent on him. At one point, the judge looked at Kody and asked, "Can you account for every transfer made after October 2022? Kody didn't flinch, but he didn't begin. His lawyer requested a continuance. The judge, shook his head, denied it. "No delays," he said. When the hearing ended, Christine walked out first, quiet, unbowed. Kody followed. Behind him, Robyn appeared only to mutter, "This isn't over." Not because someone leaked who paid my husband's retainer. But the whispers were true. Christine's team has uncovered documents showing Kody's initial $20,000 retainer for the appeal was funded by an LLC under Robyn's name. You read that right? What he called independent legal support was paid for by Robyn's business. And when Meri learned of that, her response was allegedly 2 words: of course. The implications are seismic. For years, Kody insisted his finances were hermetically sealed from the other wives, that he bore sole legal responsibility for everything in his 4 households. But now, we're seeing evidence that Robyn bankrolled his courtroom fight hand, that Meri was shorted from the asset liquidation. That doesn't just undermine his credibility, may lead to court sanctions, denials of the appeal, even contempt charges. Judicial storms are brewing. Social media, already ablaze. Comments like Christine has to beg for dental bills while Robyn pays for Kody's pity tour. And he's not broke, he's just backed by his wife's business are trending. Amplified under hashtags like #BrownFamilyReceipts and #Where's the Money. Online critics are calling for transparency and a full audit. And while the judge hasn't yet ruled on the freeze motion, insiders say the momentum is with Christine, potentially with Janelle and Meri. They decide to bring their own legal action beyond courtroom thermals. The emotional surface is cracking open. Christine is reportedly considering a public joint statement from herself, Meri, and Janelle, calling for disclosure, justice, and accountability. PHP or DACA series offers are already on the table. Because for the first time, the wives are reclaiming their narrative and their power without Kody in the center. The implications are more profound than money. They stretch into equality, accountability, and the consequences of leading a 4-family life where only one spouse seems to carry the financial burden. And if they speak publicly, the entire Brown family legacy could reevaluate beneath us. StarSpill USA will of course keep you at the root of every update. What do you think? Should Kody be legally required to account for every dime that moved out of family accounts? And does Robyn's financial support cross the line from strategic to complicit? Drop your thoughts below. Then like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Because this story is far from over. Next video on your screen is waiting, and trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next.